Red Bull's reign at the top of Formula One once seemed untouchable. Max Verstappen, fresh off his 4 world championships, was the undisputed king of the grid. But now, the cracks are no longer subtle hairline fractures. They're gaping holes, and the future of the team seems uncertain. What was once the most powerful team in F1 is now grappling with a crisis that has left Max Verstappen, one of the sport's most talented drivers, considering all options, including a shocking move to Aston Martin. But what led to this breakdown? Is Red Bull's dominance truly over, or is this just a temporary blip? And could Aston Martin, with its rising star and new technical leadership, be the place where Verstappen builds his legacy for years to come? The 2025 Formula One season started with a thunderous silence for Red Bull. The Bahrain Grand Prix, which should have been a routine victory for Verstappen, turned into a race from hell for both him and the team. Verstappen, usually the master of controlling chaos, found himself struggling with a car that simply wouldn't cooperate. From braking issues to tyre degradation, pit stop failures to strategy blunders, everything that could go wrong did. Max finished in a disappointing 6th place, a result that, in the context of Red Bull's past dominance, felt almost like an achievement. But this wasn't just one bad weekend. It was the culmination of problems that had been building for a while. Even before Bahrain, the warning signs were clear. At the end of 2023, Red Bull's car, the RB20, which had masked its quirks with Verstappen's brilliance, started showing cracks. The car was becoming more of a beast than a finely tuned machine. Adrian Newey, the mastermind behind Red Bull's incredible success, had been waving red flags for months. He voiced concerns about the car's development path, but those warnings were largely ignored. As Newey later explained, the direction Red Bull was heading in just didn't sit right with him. And now, from the outside looking in, especially with his current role at Aston Martin, he sees the consequences unfolding exactly as he feared. The current Red Bull car, the RB21, is a continuation of that flawed development path. The car simply doesn't have the balance it once did, particularly between the axles. It's become a nightmare through corner entries, and it's been chewing through tires like they're donuts at a driver's briefing. The problems are not just theoretical. Red Bull's own technical director, Pierre Vacher, admitted that the car isn't responding the way the data suggested it would. Internally, tensions are high. Verstappen's manager was seen having a heated conversation with Red Bull's key figure, Helmut Marko, after Bahrain. Reports surfaced that Red Bull was already in crisis talks before Verstappen even finished his media duties. Max might only be 8 points off the championship lead, but the vibe within the team is off. You don't need to look at telemetry data to sense the growing frustration. And you can be sure that when Adrian Newey left, he didn't just take his drafting pad. He took a part of Red Bull's soul with him. The big question now is not just whether Red Bull can fix the car, but whether they can fix the trust between themselves and Verstappen. The trust that built their empire could now be on the brink of collapse. When Adrian Newey speaks, the paddock listens. His designs have been the foundation of dynasties in Formula One, at Williams, McLaren, and Red Bull. His departure earlier this year wasn't just a loss for Red Bull, it was a seismic shift. Up until now, Newey had stayed relatively quiet, watching from the shadows as his old team stumbled. But when he gave an interview with Auto, Motor and Sport, it was a verbal bombshell. He didn't need to throw punches. His calm, almost surgical breakdown of Red Bull's problems said it all. He revealed that even as late as the final stages of 2023, the car was already becoming more difficult to drive, something he had flagged long ago, only to be met with indifference from the team. In his interview, Newey didn't name names or point fingers, but the message was clear. Red Bull didn't listen to him, and now they're paying for it. Newey's criticisms hit harder because they're not coming from a rival team throwing shade. They're coming from the man who designed Red Bull's winning DNA. If he's worried about the car's design philosophy and the team's leadership, then Verstappen has every right to be concerned. And let's be honest, when the most successful designer in Formula One history suggests that the car is fundamentally flawed, you don't argue with him. You either fix it or you follow him out the door publicly. Red Bull insists that everything is under control. Christian Horner continues to assure fans that the team understands the problems and that solutions are on the way. But the more he talks about tools not correlating with track data and mishmashes between simulations and reality, the more it sounds like a company trying to convince itself rather than the public. It's also hard to ignore the growing concerns surrounding the power unit. Red Bull Powertrains was meant to symbolize the team's independence, but whispers in the paddock suggest that development is not progressing as smoothly as planned. Ford's involvement helps, but this is still Red Bull's first attempt at hybrid engine manufacturing. Meanwhile, Mercedes is developing what many believe will be the best engine on the grid, and Honda, who knows a thing or two about hybrid power units, has already placed its bet on Aston Martin. Here's the twist. Internally, there's a power vacuum at Red Bull. Newey is gone, Pierre Wash is under pressure, Verstappen's trust in the system appears to be fading fast, and Sergio Perez is out of the picture. Yuki Tsunoda, while talented, isn't the experienced co-leader the team needs during times of crisis. Red Bull is still